Hey there. I wanted to introduce myself. So, I'm Dr. Stephanie Dean. I am very interested in communication and why we communicate with each other and best practices with communication. So, I work a lot with individuals and companies helping with those best practices. I have a PhD in computer media communication or digital sociology type of background, which means I really am interested in why people are doing the things that they do online. I researched this for years and years, and now I'm taking that research and putting it into practice. Although still researching, because you never stop researching, just not writing papers about it anymore. Yeah, so this month I am going to try to post a video every day. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to try to actually have value in each one of these videos, which takes a little bit longer to film, right? At the same time, I'm running a business and getting that kind of going too. So it's a lot. It's a little bit of a lot. So we'll see how this goes. But for this, I'm committed, and I hope you come along with me and you join in on the conversation and you subscribe and like and bell and hype and do all the things that YouTube loves. So today, for this first video, what I want to do is walk you through a process that was kind of game-changing for me. So one of the things that helped me was automating my DMs in Instagram. So Instagram is a great place to help give people free value that you can give them quotes, of course, which is inspiring, but you can also give them a lot of information. So it's not just the hooks, but it's actually information that follows those hooks. One of the things that I like to do is give out free PDFs or checklists or like cheat sheets with phrases that you can use for things that we're talking about, just things of value that I hope that you will find useful. And to do that, I could either sit there glued to my computer or my phone and email constantly, or I could use automation that already exists, tweak the language, and not make it a sales funnel, but rather nurturing an audience so we can get to know each other. And if I can help you and I can add value to your life, then great, let's go forward with that. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you how I linked my Instagram with Manychat, which is the one. I'm not affiliated. They don't pay me. I don't even think they know I exist. I just actually like their product. I pay them, in fact, for their product. We're going to head over to the computer, which you can't see, but is actually right behind you because that's where the camera is, and do this together. See you on the other side. Bye. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is go to Manychat that has both an app on your phone, but we're using the web version. When you get in there, you'll see a bunch of different templates. And I almost always start with a template just because it's a lot easier to use. You can see there's a ton of different ones, from very simple ones to quite complex ones. But we're going to start with the Grow Your Email list. And what that does is let people submit their email in exchange for something of value. So once you've clicked in, you'll see that the template's already there. And what we're going to do is mainly change the language and make sure that it's connected to our Instagram and connected to Zapier when we get to the end of it. Okay, once you've gotten in there, you'll see the main area with all of the different automations already set up, where we can change the language, you can add images, you can delay it so there's a few seconds between when you message from when they message, and also a place to collect data. And our data collection, of course, will be emails. And these emails are going to be in exchange for the latest podcast episode. So we've told them on the Instagram page, hey, if you comment this word, in this case, it's the word podcast, and you'll see here in a second where we have put that as the trigger, then it's going to trigger this set of automations that runs in the background. So it says podcast. You don't need to worry about capitalizations. It's not case sensitive, sorry. So once you have said, okay, the trigger is podcast, then you go in, you write down the message, or I just copy and pasted it because I already had it. The message in there says, hey, love the podcast. Here's the podcast. In order to get this podcast, I need you to please give me your email. Again, we're just changing the language here from the ebook. That was what was in the original trigger template. Okay, once we've done that, and these would be two separate messages, that is going to trigger one of two things. One, if they don't do it, it's going to trigger this, hey, you still here? And again, we're going to change the languages for this here, but it's just a friendly little nudge that will happen after a certain amount of time that says, hey, we're still here. It's sort of like a dropped cart automation. And once that is changed, that part of the automation is done. So they either give you their email address and it goes up to the one that you'll see in a second, or they don't give you their email address and you give them a friendly little nudge. And once they do, if they do, then it goes back to the final automation, which is like, great, thank you. I appreciate your email and I can't wait to give you the podcast. So you change the language and then you're also going to change this link. So instead of grab the book, you'll change the button call to action. And we've changed it to listen now with a little podcast. You go to the wherever you're trying to grab the link and you paste in the link for the one that you actually want to give them. So in this case, it's the podcast page, the main podcast page. And then you can test it. Before you set it live, you should definitely preview it to see what it's going to look like. This is just a mock-up of the Instagram DM. These are not automated comment sections. And what it will do is it will go ahead and give the people that have messaged you the trigger word, in our case, podcast, this message. So once you see that everything looks good here, then you go ahead and set it to be live. Okay, so to be able to actually get our zapping for the right place, you'll see what that means here in a second, we need to tag it. So the last action that we do, we hit next step, we add a tag, and we call it podcast email. And that's going to tag any emails that come through Manychat with that trigger. It's going to give it a name, podcast email. So from here, you go to Zapier, and you're going to want to create a new zap. That's what Zapier calls their triggers and their automations. So you'll hit zap, create zap, and here you're going to decide what trigger you need. We are using Manychat because we are linking Manychat to Kajabi through a zap. And here you have to decide on your triggering event. We created a tag, the podcast email tag. So we hit that. It won't let you put which tag in there until you've actually gone through this a little bit more. And just a quick note, every connection that we've made, I've already made them before, but it will actually, when you choose Manychat, it will run you through the prompts that you'll need to connect the two different systems. Same with Kajabi. So it's very easy to connect them and it'll do it as you connect them. So the next thing that we're doing is we're creating a form submission. So you'll click on Kajabi because that's who you're linking. These are all forms that I already have, so it goes in there and finds them themselves. I choose the right form that I want it to submit into where I have my email hosted, and then I test the trigger. Does it work? So at that point, that's when I had to actually go in there on my Finsta and put in a fake email address to be able to test it. But once you put the email in there, that's when you can go back and you tell it, okay, what the information I want you to pull is the first name and the email address. And that's the kind of thing that you're going to want your email provider to have to be able to address it to the right person later. So I've got everything linked in here. I've got my email address, my first name. Again, you have to do the first one yourself to test it. You just open a second Instagram account and send yourself the triggering DM to test the whole thing, or ask your friend to. They can also send you one. So now at the end, you've got Manychat connected to Kajabi, and Bob's your uncle.